Okay, we are live. We are live. Live.
Hooray.
Yeah, still procrastinating to figure out how to properly do it through the Twitter. One day, I promise. Okay. Almost. Okay, ready to start recording. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Hello and welcome everyone to the Non-Intuitive Beat podcast, brought to you by the Leaders Club, that you are part to if you're listening to us, but do consider elevating your club membership by joining our Discord channel. And today in this virtual studio we have Dmitry Mananikov. Say hi to people.
Hello.
And as usual, the most annoying voice would be me, Slava Kovalevsky. My friend, how was your week? Did you do anything?
Nothing, just like only work. It was a crazy week. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have something to share. We'll see.
Yeah, same for me. It was really crazy week. And these type of weeks when you have so many tasks that you barely can move any of them forward. So on one side you feel really tired, on another side you feel like I'm accomplished much. I had exactly that week. I need to relax.
Did you accomplish much?
I have not accomplished much. No. I will be flying to Seattle next week on the Sunday, so my work actually screwed out part of my Sunday now because I will have to fly and stay there for Monday, Tuesday. I mean, I do like to travel, but not the expense of my weekend that I can spend with the family. Anyway,
we have a team in Seattle, or like why do you travel to Seattle?
Oh yeah, I have a bunch of the folks at the in the Seattle specifically. In fact, I have way more people in Seattle than I have here in the Bay Area. It's just the set of affairs right now. Some of the teams I inherited and some just start hiring. And when you already have folks in Seattle, you're hiring in both locations. When you do hire in both locations, somehow. For now, it's quicker for me to close in the Seattle. So they're growing faster, so to speak. Don't know why it's faster to close, but nevertheless, this is TLDR and have a huge presence there. But this specific time, there is an NVIDIA event that I need to attend in the Seattle. Like
it's like engineering presentation or what it is?
Oh, it's more like internal sync. A lot of the teams, we will have periodically a day where some of the stakeholders from NVIDIA come to us, and some of us are meeting them. Different discussion around different products, things like that. So that would be it. And somehow this time it's in Seattle. So
nice. Can they give you a gaming PC just as an appreciation of your work?
No.
No. What's the point?
I think it's to make sure that nothing is considering bribe. I think you cannot give more than a particular amount. I'm pretty sure gaming PC is more than that amount. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, you need to define gaming PC. Maybe it's Steam Deck, then we're fine. Okay, I actually have several warm-up topics, but do you want to share with listening what you shared with me in before the? If it's okay, if not, then we can move to my warm-up topic. But I think
let's go with warm-up.
Okay,
it's more interesting.
So, today Netflix have released a new show, Exploding Kittens.
Is it related to board game related?
Yes, yes.
I actually seen it. I actually seen trailer.
Today is the first episode. Actually, I think they released everything at once, right? So how many episodes they have? Okay, so they have season 1 trailer and then have Exploding Kittens. Yeah, they have released 9 episodes. Yep. So the whole first season.
Like, my understanding, it's not really getting ideas from a game, but it looks like whoever was creating art for a game created art for the show. because it looks very similar to cards.
I guess you can say that in the sense that the cards game really doesn't have a plot. It doesn't have much going on there. So yes, this is using the brand of that game a lot heavily. And the concept of the show, I'm not going to spoiler much because the concept reveal in the first 2 minutes. So it's not going to be a plot twist or anything. So we'll tell a little bit. So the God on the heaven actually got so lazy and so sloppy that he became drunk. He stopped caring about the humanity at all. And the board of directors that running heaven, after he ruined half of the heaven, told that you're no longer you're no longer doing your duties properly. So we're going to send you back to Earth. We're going to limit your powers until you actually will build the empathy again. And they sent him in the shape of the cat. So that's the concept effectively. And he goes in the first episode to the first family who prayed, and he read about the prayer that they did, and he's tasked effectively to turn around the family, accomplish what the prayer is asking him to accomplish. So it's quite interesting. I watched the one episode. It's hard to me to say that it's a must watch. It's not on the level of, let's say, Futurama or Rick and Morty, but it's good. It's decent.
Maybe we'll check it.
Oh, I know. The best movie if you need something for a quick lunch. You have 25 minutes lunch and you want still want something decent to quickly look at. That's ideal. Yes, that would be.
Okay, perfect for me. Actually, on the board games, I have another topic.
Shoot.
So recently I started playing Charterstone game. It's actually one that you gifted me. The game itself is a city builder board game. Like you can play alone or you can play up to 6 people. And it would be like regular board game, like a city builder where you collect cards, put buildings, get resources.
Mm-hmm.
But it has actually more interesting concept. When you play this game, it's actually not one game. You need to play 12 games with the same people, ideally. Mm-hmm. Each game lasts up to 1 hour. So it's like regular session with board game. But you preserve state of the world between these games. It's done in an interesting way. So essentially, when you put a building on a field, mm-hmm. you actually stick it with a sticker. So it stays there until the end. And you also have a small box, every player has a small box where you put your belongings, your resources, money, So next game you can start with whatever you left from last one. And it's actually a very interesting concept. This game also has an interesting idea with the rules. You start with a small set of rules, mm-hmm. but over games you uncover more special building types, special mechanics, and you actually put a new rules in the rule book. They work as stickers as well. So the more your game plays, and even more interesting, some rules actually amended. Sometimes you have a rule, for example, after first game you have a rule how you finish game, how you calculate scores and so on. But on the second game, you found a card which essentially you put a sticker on top of previous rule, and it slightly changed how a game ends. So it's always a changing a bit. And I found that actually not the only game in this genre. It's called Legacy Games. And there are actually multiple games in this genre where you have campaigns spans across tens of games over time. I think it's pretty cool concept to play with your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, with the friends you meet regularly, because you need some commitment, but also each game can be pretty short, hour or even less.
So, by the way, can you tell the concept of this game, Charterstone? What is the game is actually about?
The game mechanic is similar to any other city builder. There are up to 6 players. Everyone has its own charter on a map. You get card randomly or by some events. From each card, you either can build a building. You can also collect resources from your buildings. You can open new boxes with new cards and so on. So it's not really some crazy concept. The game is actually I would say, somehow simple from this regard.
Got it. Okay, how would you rate this game from 0 to, let's say, 10?
I think the gameplay itself, like 6. But the concept, because it spans across games and how you uncover rules, for me, it's very novelty. I would say 8 of 10. When I start searching for legacy games, there are actually games with better ratings. For example, there's a Pandemic Legacy Edition, which actually like pretty good game and rated very highly. I never played it, but now I'm curious to try other games of this type.
I actually haven't played Pandemic board game. Always wanted, but never played. Is it good?
Yeah, I think base game is good, and then they have this legacy version, which is also quite interesting, I guess.
Why it's called Legacy? Does it mean that it used to be played like this for everything and now we're no longer doing so?
No, I think Legacy means, you pass something to the next generation. I think so, like every game, like based on the previous games. It's interesting, like Charterstone actually tries to balance it. For example, the amount of resources you can carry to next game is actually limited. And you have a way to tweak it a bit, but it's not like a huge. So every game people more or less reset to some state. And another interesting concept, people who lost in a game, they actually get some benefits. For example, they can save extra coin or get extra card or something.
Interesting. Well, that would be indeed interesting. Try to play something like that. Man, now I see the ad about Kickstarter Imperial board game, and it looks fantastic. I don't know what the game is, but yes, it's like fantastic. I already want to bake it. But anyway, oh shit, that is really cool looking game. Let me copy it and put it somewhere in my notes. Okay. So, anything else? Do you have anything else about the games? I do have several more interesting topics, but nothing game related.
Yeah, let's go to your topics.
So the very quick one, there is a Flash Attention that got released. This is AI related, and for the listeners, what is Flash Attention? So the model, I'm trying to figure out from which angle to start. So when you running the model on your AI, you're training your model using GPUs, and the actual code that using GPUs called kernel. So kernel is effectively low-level code that executes on the GPU.
Now we need to pause and actually say, but if you listen 1 or 2 episodes before of our podcast, now we get a really good overview of it.
Yes. It's a nice injection. Yes, that is a true statement. Go back on several episodes, find it. Yes. And obviously kernel can make or break it, and they can speed up this stuff. And in the latest LLM models that effectively GPT using and everything, almost any LLM is using, the architecture usually that they have called transformers. And transformers is effectively architecture that has attention mechanics. And attention mechanics is mechanics that are quite complex to optimize. And this what actually created the jump in the quality of the LLMs that we observed starting GPT-3, so to speak. The way how it works is very simple. Before, the concept was, let's create encoder-decoder or something like that. And encoder-decoder is effectively saying, give me word by word, token by token of the input, and I will compress everything to one vector, one tensor. So this tensor can be naively think as a thought, right? So you're taking a thought, then adding a token. Thought changes a little bit. Then you're adding more token, and at the end you have a thought that represents the whole text. And then you will have a decoder that take this thought and start spinning out the tokens one by one. Now, these have changed with transformers, and what transformers do, transformers is effectively for each token doing an attention. And attention is just literally looking on all past tokens and see how all the past tokens should impact this specific one. And this simple idea, and it's a little bit more complex than that, but on the higher level, it's actually just that. You're taking you're generating the token, you're going all back to all the previous tokens and see what matters for this specific one, and then generating it. But it's literally a for loop that iterate through everything in the past. And the problem here is that now it's much harder to put this model on the even one VM, because if you have a bigger model and tons of the tokens, you will reach the saturation of memory where you have to go and compute attention in between the VMs, so you will be now invoking networking, which is obviously very, very slow. And this attention mechanic is the hardest to implement. And flash attention is one of the most popular optimizations that optimizing the attention, because if you can optimize the attention, you can increase the amount of the context. In fact, as they mentioned, that the attention, flash attention 2 contributed to drastic increase in the tokens size of the context, so to speak, from GPT-3 to GPT-4 and to Llama 3 that has 1 million token context.
But how does it work with the restriction memory? Does it just run multiple iterations?
I actually don't know. This is on my to-do list, and now with Flash Attention 3, I bumped it to read the white paper about the second version. I mean, how it works, I actually do not know and have no idea. But the Flash Attention 3 might have the similar impact like we saw with Flash Attention 2, which is we are now increase the context size from 2K to 1 million. So right now it might be exactly the same, because as they pointing out in the article, themselves, I'm trying to find it, that Flash Attention 3 is almost 2 times faster. And the thing is, it's not the magic. You can see how much current optimization is optimized by looking at the utilization of the GPUs. And the best models today is utilizing 20 to 50% of the GPUs. And we're speaking about H100. They specifically speak about H100, which is actually no longer the latest GPU. NVIDIA just announced GB100, GB200. So even for H100, with all the goodies that it has, the humanity have not yet found the way to optimize attention with all the abilities of H100. And Flash Attention 3 is the first way that actually getting very close to utilizing 100% of H100. It's funny how we actually moving to the very similar pattern that gaming industry has. You're releasing the console, but the best game on this console will happen to be released in the end of the life cycle.
So I'm curious, like, why utilization wasn't like up to 100%? Because I assume like if you have more clocks, you can just run more like in parallel or something, but it's not the case.
Yeah, so this is there is this famous curve as GPU utilization, memory versus compute. So I will try to find, because it's usually the first picture that pop-ups. Nope. Bound limitations. Okay, we'll try to vocalize that. Oh yeah, that's a pretty good one. So simple model. Let's take a simple model example. Simple model is multiplying matrices. You have two matrices, two tensors. You need to multiply one on another. When you get to the really, really big models, you actually no longer can store 2 tensors in memory completely. Like that's no longer possible. So now you're applying this low-level optimization that trying to lure a particular part of the tensor in memory while you're doing computations on another part of the tensor. And there is a famous way to utilize this. People always in GPU world saying, are you compute bound or you memory bound? Memory bound means that you effectively have saturated memory, and you need faster and more memory in order to utilize more compute. Compute bound is really where you want to be. This means that you have saturated the compute, and it doesn't matter how much more memory you will have. You literally cannot saturate. You don't have more compute cycles. So compute cycles is rarely a problem these days. And when we're speaking about the attention specifically, your GPU that calculating attention might need parts of the matrices that on the GPU on another VM that you need to go to the network.
And that's like a boundary.
Yes.
So then why NVIDIA needs to like make even more powerful chips instead of trying to figure out like how to make like a bigger memory attached to them?
So there is 2 things for that. One, that this problem is not insolvable. So in the sense that, as we're seeing with Flash Attention 3, right now the people getting to utilization of the H100 more closer to the 100%. So there is many things that can be done. The humanity just need to uncover them. And another thing, keep in mind that we're speaking about a very specific architecture. If you're looking at other models or inference or many other tasks, you might be in a completely different situation, so to speak. Then you have another type of GPU hardware-specific operation that, while they will not saturate compute, because you're using them, you actually would still get better results than if you would be not using them but saturating compute, which is also a constant holy war in the GPU wars of how we evaluate utilization. Do we actually need 100%? The good example might be, you can get a theoretical example, but you can reproduce it easily. You can get a full saturation by multiplying matrices with half precision, FP16. Or you can get 10x if you're doing reduced precision, you're doing int4. Now, the 10x speed up might reduce utilization of GPU 3 times. Because you now memory bound, you cannot get the data as fast as possible. But in terms of processing units and in terms of how much quicker you're training the model, you're actually not training much faster. So it's a very unclear trade-off what to do. So if I would drive the analogy, imagine you have a game that has a ray tracing, but if you enable ray tracing, utilization of GPU drops, but the picture is still better. Okay. So should you do worse picture without ray tracing, or you actually need to enable ray tracing?
Makes sense to enable.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So this is also the very similar things periodically happens there. So there is many reasons, and keep in mind, GPU is generic compute to some extent, so it cannot cover everything. Okay, this actually was quite heavy topic for a warm-up. Last thing I want to mention, because you and I discussed this briefly in Twitter, the House finally signed, the president signed, the House passed the bill that will require proof of citizens to vote. That was a big deal for a long time. Elon Musk was one of the people who was pushing this to happen. Honestly, this was crazy that it was not the case.
But I really don't understand how it was work, because like in US, to vote, especially like for government, I think like for anything, right? You need to be a citizen. I don't know, maybe some local, you can be like resident or something. But how do you vote if you're not a citizen? Like if you don't check, like can a tourist go and vote for someone?
So this is a crime, obviously, for tourists to go and vote for someone. But as someone who already voted many times, do you remember when you're applying for driver license, they asking you, do you want to be a registered voter? Mm-hmm. So if you will say yes, I will register you.
Okay, but since it's a crime and you like in a database, you can get punished for that.
Theoretically, yes, but no one checks. Today, no one checks because, in fact, they probably even prevented the checking. And the whole idea that there is many... theoretically, that's why I left it. I'm trying to be a devil's advocate because I disagree with the statement. But theoretically, there are many people that doesn't have any proof, but they're still citizen and they still would vote if this system exists. The moment you're enforcing different checks, they will not vote.
Yeah, I actually quickly checked like what is the official proof of citizenship. It's a passport, it's a birth certificate, and also certificate of citizenship. Technically, none of this is required to live in the US or to work. Like, I mean, if you're born here, you have driver license, like you can be perfectly living without these documents. It's not hard to obtain them, but I may imagine like someone like, okay, I need to obtain birth certificate and like remember like 2 days before, 2 days before vote. It's like, okay, I'll just skip it. And I think birth certificate costs like few dollars, like 10s or 20s, which also inconvenience. But at the same time, I would say, I think voting, like in democracy part, like, participating is actually a good thing. And if you don't really want to spend like hour to get your birth certificate or whatever proof, maybe you don't really want to vote. So just rely on other people to choose for you. So it's kind of tricky part.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one of the things that fueled this discussion overall is that you have a Senate, and the Senate, I constantly forgetting, it's House or the Senate. I think it's House. Sorry, you have a House, and the House have representatives that are proportional to the size of the people.
Yep.
And this size of the people are effectively measured by several things, and one of them is amount of people who votes, and another is amount of not the caskets when they're doing counting of people.
Mm-hmm.
And in both cases, they do not require citizenship proof. So in both cases, if, let's say, theoretically, I am a democratical state and leftist state, and I suddenly have realized that illegal immigrants vote more for leftists, I am actually incentivized to do everything I can to get these illegals in, because they will, the moment there is more of them than the people who are actively voting, I will have a huge incentive, huge upward and huge support in the House. Way more seats in the House, way more people will support me. I just need to have this available for illegal folks.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I didn't know about House. I mean, obviously it's illegal, but I think from legal standpoint, I think actually House may be a bit looser requirements. For example, if someone has a green card and lives for 15 years, has a house, job, kids, everything here, it's very, I would say, unfair for them not to be able to vote. Maybe not for president, but at least for local government, maybe for representative. So it's quite tricky thing.
But why citizens should care? Why on earth citizens should care what is unfair for not citizen?
Yeah, sure. You can always create, it's like what it before, right? When only men could vote. Why do they need to care that women should vote, right? Because they can.
They both are citizen. I'm speaking citizen is a different conversation. When I'm speaking about someone who has a passport, I'm speaking why citizens should care about non-citizens, because
they shouldn't. Citizens doesn't care about. But it also, I think it's more on global economy, right? Why do you even incentivize by bringing people in Bay Area? Why to hire people overseas? Why to give them green card, right? Sometimes you need people to bring them, especially for high skilled people, someone for rare professions. Essentially, why whole migration exists, right? And one part of migration is create incentives for people, right? Some countries give them taxes, sometimes give some other. I think giving some political power, maybe not over country, but essentially power of defining how we spend city budget because they pay taxes. That I think makes sense for bringing people. Again, if people already coming here and you want to create you want to tax them but do not give representation, obviously it's better for you.
Sure, but the way we looks like we're looking differently. You're saying why people incentivizing comes to Bay Area. This incentives is not for the sake of the people who coming. It's for the sake of citizens. There is a reason to make life of the citizen better by allowing some of the people to come to Bay Area. That is not for the sake of those people who come to Bay Area. In fact, this is in some cases, if theoretically we'll find a way to get these benefits without physically them moving here, probably will still doing so. And that is exactly the case. And one of these things is for citizens to take money that these people get to economy, and we can actually, the citizen can decide how this money is spent. So these people who are not citizens taking money from them and deciding how to spend it. If we are taking money from them, but they also decide how to spend it, the incentives to bring them in is drastically reduced. The whole incentive to bring them in. They're not deciding how to spend the money that they're earning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? It's not about fairness. It's about okay, if you have a power to get people and make them pay to you, it's always good. It's benefits. That's why whoever have power, like in any area, right? Like people who have power, they always hesitant to share this power because that's like just natural process. I'm not saying it's something wrong with it. It's not fair, but it's how thing is, and I don't think it's need to be changed or have to be changed. I think it makes sense. I think like more people caring about place where they live is more important. Like for example, if I live in community, I want people actually to care about community. But you less care if you don't like have any saying in this one. You may be like not incentivized for that. But again, it depends. I actually hear a funny joke.
Go for it.
That US has so much influence over the world that maybe whole world should actually vote for US president.
Yeah, that's exactly, this is a pause. This is a real pause if you start speaking about the fairness and things like that. Yeah, that's where you might end up. Yes. Why not? It's only fair, right? Okay, we are half an hour in. How about we move to one of the main topics?
Sure.
So I have a main topic to share. Surprisingly, I got a new car.
Ooh, okay. Which one?
So I got a Jeep. Grand Cherokee. So first, why? My Ford was crossing 100,000 miles.
Okay.
And it's a number. And it has some malfunctions that I have addressed. But mechanic told me that theoretically after 100,000, when you have this type of the problem, you will see some complications after 20 or 30 miles, 10,000 miles down the line. It's now that, just this age of the car will start showing out, and he knows the car. So hearing that, we effectively extracted the maximum value that we could, and we went and I bought a Jeep. So thing that I wanted to consider when I was buying a Jeep, I needed finally to have something with a lot of space. That was my biggest concern. I bought my Ford Fusion back in the day where this was my first car ever, and I didn't know what I want from the car. So I wanted a lot of space. I wanted 404 because I wanted to go off-roading. That's absolutely must. I love off-roading after I rented Jeep several times. That's pretty much it. And I was deciding between truck and this. So the specific Jeep that I end up buying is Grand Cherokee L, because L has 404, it can go off-road, and at the same time it has three rows of seats. So it can seat 6 people, and because of that, it has tons of the space. I specifically checked I can lay, if I put down the second and third row, I can easily put mattresses there and I can lie there down. And this was a requirement for me because I do like to camping. And my idea was to update the car so I can camp in the car. I no longer have to sleep on the ground in the tent. That was a requirement for me. So this checks all the boxes. And we find a very interesting dealership. The dealership that effectively went bust 2 weeks ago. It went bankrupt completely. So the new owner bought all the cars from the previous owners, and he was eager to sell them with tons of the discount because the previous owner was selling them by dirt cheap. And there was two things. It was not all roses, so to speak, because no one knew how the cars was stored. When, for example, they were showing us one of the Jeep, it was literally out of juice. There was no electric in it, so they had to power it from somewhere to even. So clearly, no one touched them for quite some time.
Okay, so how would you ensure that your car is in good condition?
I mean, because it's technically still new, it's covered with warranty. That's the best you can do. Same warranty as a new car, but you don't have a destination charge. You don't have so many things that they waived because they didn't care, because they got it with the price that they got it, and they were selling it with a much cheaper thing. But yeah, there is a theoretical possibility something wrong with the car, but again, warranty is there. Now, first of all, the thing that I realized about my specific Jeep, this is a quality step up in the car for me. I actually have not realized that. I thought it will be very similar to the car that I drove, but this is a really, really interesting step up, specifically from two things. One is suspension. I never have driven the car with such a good suspension. Even when I rented a Jeep Wrangler, suspension was much worse. And the second is noise. Noise cancellation. It has active noise cancellation on top of normal noise cancellation. It's just magic. I never have been in a car that is so quiet inside as this one.
So when you say active, do you mean it works like headphones when they actually produce sound with opposite waves to mitigate what's outside?
I don't know. It's a part of the spec, and I have not yet looked into that. So I really do not know, but I saw it in specification, and it's very quiet. I don't know if they're actually doing magic or it's very quiet because of the just body and how they're doing assemble and all this stuff. So that part I have no idea, and I'm not prepared, unfortunately, for that specific question. But it also was bothering for me to see that, oh, they have active noise cancellation in the car, like very weird. Another thing that just interesting. Oh, let me actually show what I don't like about this car, because there are several things that I don't like, and two specific ones. One is engine is very weak for the such size of the car. It's 3.6 liter. For this size of the car, and it's V6, it's not even V8. So V6, 3.6 liter. For this size of the car, it's really, really underpowered. It's a very huge downside. And
do you feel it when you get to highway and need to speed up?
Yes, yep, you absolutely feel it. I drove several times F-150, which has a big engine, which has a 12 gears, and it was way more faster in the sense that I'm not even sure how to express it. If you're going uphill, and even if you're alone in this car and you need to gain a speed, you flooring it, it will start screaming at you, but it's still not going to get you a lot of speed. Oh, actually, I will give you numbers. 9 seconds from 0 to 60.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
8 dot something, maybe not exactly 9. This is horrible. Like, you feel it.
Could it be there's some hidden sport mode or something? Because on my Mazda I have this a weird switch between normal and sport modes that I need to toggle when I want to go to highway. Maybe this one also has something like this.
Oh, it does have a sports that I start using, but you cannot hide a weak engine. Again, with an example of 150, I would push down the pedal and I will get the speed I need. This one in the sport mode will give you faster acceleration, sure, but it still screams like crazy because this is the only way for this engine to actually give you any power. So this is specific what I didn't like. And the second thing that in my team specifically, which is limited, I did not have the dynamic suspension. So we cannot move this car up and down. It's only one size. Sure, it's 404. Sure, it has a lot of clearance below it, but it's still fixed size. So which means that out of all trails, I cannot do rocks. Because usually they would require much bigger clearance. So I'm fine. I'm not there yet anyway. So I don't give a shit about that specific trails. Interesting part that I learned about Jeep, that there is a manufacturer Stellantis. So you know how you have Tesla or you have Ford or you have Chevy, they have a brand, and within the brand you can pick anything, truck, sedan, SUV, whatever you want.
Okay.
So the Stellantis is a company that owns Jeeps, and they actually have a sub-brand per category. So if you want sedan, you go to Dodge. If you want a truck, you go to Ram. If you want 404, you go to Jeep.
I think that's why Jeep often used by people as a general description of large SUV with 404.
Yes, because this is a brand that only focuses on that, nothing else. Ram would be focusing on obviously trucks, and then you will have the Dodge that will be focusing on sedan and SUV, but without 404, sedan and CT SUVs. And then you would have Chrysler, I think Chrysler, that would be more luxury sedans. And yeah, Jeep is everything 404. Wranglers, Grand Cherokee, Compass, but all 404 for off-road experience. And all these belong to Stellantis. That's actual company that owned them.
That was a question. Over years, did at least one company made a good infotainment system, or just better use CarPlay?
I actually think that they're using the same out of these companies. They sharing the same infotainment.
But is it usable? Because like I'm yet to find any car besides Tesla who has a usable infotainment system.
To be fair, Ford, that was like 8 years old, was the last one where I truly tried to use it. After that, it was CarPlay for me. I never used Chevy in the infotainment system even once, and I have not used this one. For me, it's all, and I actually love Jeep because it has a lot of physical buttons. So everything outside of CarPlay, like AC and stuff like that, all physical buttons. And everything that I need from the touchscreen, CarPlay. So I don't have to leave CarPlay.
Yeah, it's not like I'm wondering when someone in this car companies like make some calculation. What if for every car we just buy a phone to people, you know, like Android, top Android to iPhone, and give it with the car, and completely ditched our engineering resources of developing this pretty horrible UIs that they have.
Oh, but in a sense, I think they kind of doing this. I do believe that lack of progress, genuine lack of the progress, because they started building system that is compatible with Android and CarPlay.
But they still change it. I would be not surprised if they just like keep whatever they have old. Every time it's changing. I have new animations. Like it looks like they try to build something, but it never works well.
True, I agree with you. Yeah, 100%. 100%, yes. And to be fair, there are cases when I do use onboard system. Usually this is a case when I lost any internet connection and I have not pre-downloaded the map. I opening them up on the car, it builds me the direction. That's about it. Yeah, that's probably the only example. Now, okay, coming back to the car, I now know tons of the stuff about the off-roading. I actually learned how differential is working, why you need to be locking it, how 404 are working, because there is so many videos I have to learn just to figure out which car I want, which car I need, what I will be using. My friend, what do you know about 404s? Because I know that your car is also all-wheel drive.
I know that the bigger 404 car you have, the longer you will walk to get a towing tractor or something to get you out of deep forest.
Okay, that's actually a nice wisdom to remember. I will print it out probably and put it somewhere. So let me start with interesting basics. The Jeep actually have two modes, quad drive and quad track, and this is a different system, but it's a buzzword. In reality, the most basic 404 capable of sending torque to both axes, front one and the rear one. That's like the most basic 404. And but the problem there is clear. If you suddenly have, let's say, one wheel on the rear axis that are spinning, you probably will send majority of the torque on that wheel just because it's spinning. So the whole torque will just go there. If other tree has connection with the ground, so what? So the second iteration, the most common iteration on the market right now, when you're sending torque on the front axis and rear axis separately, and you actually adjust percentage. So now if you have one wheel on the ground that is completely lost any connection, any traction, that you can readjust and send torque on other axis. So it's obviously front, then rear. So that was the second generation of all 404s, which creates another problem. Okay, now what if you have one wheel per axis that lost track? Now you're screwed, because it doesn't matter where you will send the torque, it will send it to spinning wheel completely. And this is where they introduce lock differential. Lock differential is effectively what it does. It completely locks and makes both wheels on axis synchronous. So they will be spinning with the same speed. So now if your wheel is spinning, but you actually lock differential, it doesn't matter, because it needs to have the exactly same speed on the left and right wheel.
I think because this behavior seems like more simple. Because when you think about, like, if you don't have understanding how differential work, you think that like both wheels always spin in the same speed.
No.
In reality, it's like actually opposite. If one is blocked, another one still trying to move. Oh, you know, I actually know a lot about this from a game Mud Runner. Because in that game you actually control like four-wheel trucks, large trucks in the mud, and you need to use like differential logs, like all kind of things, like to get out of dirt.
I'm so going to play it now. So this is where, yes, you lock in differential, and this is the most common solution for almost a decade. But this is the problem with locking differential. If you're locking it, the car actually cannot move in the way that makes speed of both wheels actually exactly the same, especially if it's turning. So this means that if you lock in differential, you only can move with a very small speed, and God forbid if you will forget that you will lock it, and you will start moving faster, you actually can damage your differential, you can damage a lot of parts of the car. So while this is useful, you have to use it manually, very intentionally, knowing that speed problems can hurt you by a lot. So this specific car has effectively quad track, which is up to this point. Everything that I discussed up to this point is what it has. So it can send torque front or back. It can lock the differential, but it's actually doing it automatically. I cannot control it. It will decide itself that it needs to do it, and it will unlock it when it's safe. So bulletproof, idiot-proof from that perspective. But the highest possible trim that I don't have has a quad drive, and quad drive is even more smarter. What the quad drive is doing, it's actually applying a brakes on one wheel. So so in this case, it actually can brake one wheel and send the 100% of the torque to the wheel that still have connection with the ground. So now, not only you can send torque front axis, back axis, you literally can send torque to one or two very specific wheels that you want. That my car don't have, but like overall, and I actually watched the video, it does make a difference, visible and noticeable if you are sleeping, if you are really on slippery road. But well, it's cost plus 10K to have it.
You need to be very committed to drive on such roads.
Yes, and I'm so far from that, so I'm not even close to that type of the roads. But I do love off-roading. I mean, I wasn't going to off-road much because I didn't have a car, but I do have been on the off-road when I was renting a Jeep several times. And this is actually amazing because you can drive. First of all, there are actual recreational area and parks. This is I'm showing the map of one of these that is fully for off-road. So this is actual trails for cars.
Very American.
Yep. And you can go almost any scenic place in US would probably have an amazing off-road where you can go and you can see the same place around, but there will be almost no cars there because it's for off-roading only. The good example could be, let me see if I can quickly find, off-road Old Highway 1 around Big Sur, Scenic Drive. Maybe I cannot find it quickly. Old Coast Road, yes, Old Coast Road, California, off-road. So this is a good example of Highway 1. That maybe there is a nice pictures I can find. Highway 1, not far from us, where you can observe the famous bridge from the off-road, but this is a road that only 404 can tackle. So there is not that many cars over there. And almost all tourist destinations usually will have an off-road route that you can get if you have 404 that have much less people, has a spot for camping, for sleeping, for just looking on these things. It's just amazing. And I never took it in California because usually I would be renting the Jeep and then flying far away, Nevada or something, and I loved it there. So now I'm so looking forward to do such trips here.
Yeah, looking forward to your journeys.
I'm promising taking a lot of pictures. I will try at least. Last thing I want to say that actually got surprised to me that I never do. You know, when you're renting a car, you give a shit about small things, but when you're actually owning the car, you start thinking, punching in the Google, what should I do before going to off-road? And one of the things is reducing the pressure in tires. Turns out that even if you're doing for simple things, you have to reduce the pressure. Looks like you did have the experience. You know, you did off-roading?
No, I think I saw it's like pretty common knowledge that like if you drive like in a mud or in a forest, it's always better like to have, even for motorcycles, like motorcycles that you use for off-road usually have lower tire pressure, and ones that go to like asphalt like needs higher one.
You see what you said? The motorcycles going off-road has a lower tire pressure. But in this case, you actually supposed to be actively inflating, deflating when you go off-road on the road. So the idea that it gets to the road, you have a special device, you deflate it to a special PSI, you drive off-road, then you inflate it back at the end and you go on the main road.
Yeah, I understand. It seems like very annoying.
Yes.
Why they don't, there is actually ways to make it like automatic pumping, especially like usually military trucks has it. I'm curious why I didn't get to consumer cars. Maybe it's like very expensive.
Yeah, I guess that is the reason. And to be fair, I don't know, maybe in the highest stream it is. Because again, I'm so far away from the highest stream, so who knows? Let's actually quickly Google Jeep auto inflation system. Does it has it? Okay, it has infotainment. Jeep wheels. Yeah, okay. Auto inflating system. I wonder. A Jeep armor gun brake wheel warning. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it has. Maybe it does not. Yeah, I don't know. From the quick Google.
I only see that on military cars that's supposed to go under fire, and if like someone shoot a wheel, it still should work.
Very likely.
Remember,
yes.
It's from a story. There was like some guy. Either he stole some military truck or he was like soldier. Like there was a really long pursuit. Like there was police trying to get him. They tried to put this like a spikes on the road, shooting wheels, but it didn't work because the car was constantly pumping, and the car wasn't like a very armored truck, but it has some armor. So he was like spending a lot of time just driving around until gas was just like out.
Before I said until gas, I thought maybe a Cybertruck.
No, just he was out of gas and that's it.
You know, this is the first car that I was buying, and I was thinking, okay, I don't give a shit about being electric for this specific part unless it's meaningful enough. And for the Jeeps, being electric will cost you easily plus 10K. And even in this case, plus 10K will only give you hybrid, plug-in hybrid, not the true electric. And and you will have like 25 miles range for your electric. And on top of that, it will be smaller. 10K plus, smaller. Yeah,
I think hybrid with this range makes sense if you have really like close workplace and you go every day and you don't want two cars. So but for if you have like a longer commute, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, 100%. If I had indeed just one car, maybe because it's exactly within the range to work, but we have several other commute cars. Chevy Bolt is electric, I love it, but for the long distance travels, this is a must. Now the last thing, MPG. On the city it gives me 15 MPG, on the highway 22, which is like more than 2 times less than my Ford was giving me.
I mean, it's a bigger car, so it's expected.
Yeah, that's true.
But probably tank is also bigger, so.
Oh yeah, 2 times more. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
How about we end here? We almost had an hour, my friend. What do you say?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I think we finished almost every... Oh, no. Wait. We have 5 minutes to get to an hour, and you added the topic around 36K's layout. I really want to hear how you're doing that.
I think you can Google something like corn chocofy. I think that's what I was looking.
Shopify. Okay, what is that?
Yeah, I think you can just open any image. Essentially, it's split keyboard layout. First, I found really interesting world. Oh, is there like a coronavirus chalk picture? That's what I was looking.
Where? Checking one code.
Like it's a Etsy link. Anyway, I found that with the 3D printers, people start making all kind of weird keyboards. Because right now, to make a keyboard, what you need essentially is a 3D printer to make a base. You can buy key switches for that. You can buy keys themselves. There are ready-to-use microcontrollers, and then you need to do wiring. And wiring apparently is not very complex. I mean, you need to sometimes solder, but sometimes for some microcontrollers, you have enough pins to just like connect all switches. So people doing it like very easy. Like a lot of people just sell. Some companies just sell you a plate, so you don't need to solder anything, and you can just buy microcontroller, put on top, choose whatever padding you want. And people doing really interesting concepts because they can experiment, can try. And there are also interesting movement trying to reduce number of keys. Like the idea is like you move fingers less fatigue, it's like easier. And I think couple of that in the sweet spot is 36 and 34 keys. What does it mean? You has a 30 keys for your 4 fingers. Essentially, almost all fingers get only for 3 keys, and then index fingers has 6. And then for your thumbs, you have a 2 or 3 on each side. And the problem here, obviously, like you can't really fit all standard symbols, right? You can put English alphabet, that's it, and a couple of more. So what people are doing, there are a few interesting ways. First, people use layers. Like often you press a button and it change like everything. Similar to Shift, but it can change more drastically. The second interesting concept is, I think it's called mod tap. The idea is that some keys on your keyboard can behave differently when you tap it or when you hold it. And what people do, they on a home row where usually you keep your fingers, they actually put like Shift, Command, Control, Alt. So depending on like are you holding or tapping, it can produce hold of this like command or just some letter. So you can use it. And now I'm trying to work to live with this approach in my Glove 80 keyboard, which has more keys, but I just reduced to smaller amount. I found this mod tab doesn't work for me. I always make mistake because it doesn't really register properly. And I'm not only one. So people came up with a different solution how you deal with it. So it's pretty interesting to try different layouts. I'm still in search that one that would work for me. So far, I like the idea that I don't need to move, especially like for number keys, for some like a side keys. But I still need to find something that will work well for me. And then maybe I'll switch to this smaller keyboard.
Man, this is so interesting. I'm not ready yet, but I see the appeal. I see the appeal why people doing so.
Yeah, I think the main issue is that to find something that works for you. And because the problem if you use something, first you need to spend time learning it, so to contribute. And then you can realize, I learn it, I know it, and it doesn't work for me. So me, like one of these layouts was like this. I spent like a week trying it and I didn't like it, so I switched back.
You know, this is what I define as growth mindset versus closed mindset, so to speak. The closed mindset is about, oh, this will not work for me because X, Y, Z. The growth mindset, let me try. And when I actually tried it, invest the time and I know exactly, yes, I can say it will not work for me.
Yeah, so far I have a layout quite interesting. So I have like characters, and then I have a layer which I click where I have all numbers on the top row, and below them I have all symbols belonging to these numbers. So I can quickly tap symbol or number, which is like really nice. And I try to keep my keys almost in the same position, so I don't need to change my mental model. Because some people go completely crazy. They like redefine. I've seen a like very popular layout people use, and it specifically defines that for any movement, you should not move your finger more than one key from that position. There was like so really like a lot of crazy layouts and approaches people do. I'm not yet there.
So
at least trying something.
But are you have ditched completely tap and wait, not the tap, press and hold at all?
So right now in my layout, I still use tap and hold for shift, and it's actually interesting. I have shift on a Z and on a question mark. Essentially, it's very close to regular shift, so I'm not really need to change my mind how I type. Plus, these two symbols, I don't type them often, so it's like not really. I still don't like it very much. I'm trying to figure out something else. And another annoying, I have a backspace and a control in this mode, and it means I can't really hold backspace to remove word. So I need to think a bit more like how to reorganize it.
And where do you put the arrows?
I have a separate layer for many like special actions, and when I click it, arrows is the same where I usually use like Vim like HAJK. So it's the same like for movements.
Man, this is so cool. I'm pretty sure now I at some point will try it. We'll at least try it.
It's a good thing like ZMK allows you, to like create layers, switch to them quickly, try it, and anytime. For example, when I work and I realize I need to do something and it doesn't work or I forget, I just switch back to initial layout. So it's not a problem that you like stuck with this. You can experiment, but you can switch back and forth really easily.
Makes sense. And yeah, it's a good thing because my new keyboard also have ZMK, so I can experiment as well. Okay, let's end on this one. I think it was an amazing topic, amazing chat, my friends. Okay. Everyone, thank you for listening to us. Let me double check what we have there. 30 people by the end of the show is actually not bad.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you and have an amazing weekend. Okay, just give me a sec. I will click finish on the live. Thank you, folks.